It is 2 in the afternoon. Your coffee has gone cold. Your eyes are open, but your mind has already left the room. You are staring at a screen, and the screen is staring back, and nothing is happening inside you except a low, quiet static. You call this laziness. You call it a lack of discipline. You wonder what is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Something much older is happening. Your brain was never designed to sit still for 8 hours in a box of artificial light, doing the same narrow task, at the same narrow desk, every single day. It was designed for something else entirely. And the moment you understand what that something else was, the 2 o'clock crash stops feeling like failure. It starts feeling like biology. For almost all of human history, there was no such thing as a workday. There was no clock. There was no shift. There was no manager checking whether you were at your desk. For roughly 300,000 years, humans lived as foragers, moving through changing landscapes, doing dozens of different small tasks across a single day. You might track an animal in the morning, rest in the shade at midday, gather food in the late afternoon, talk, argue, tell stories, doze, walk, watch the horizon. The rhythm of the day was broken into many short bursts of different kinds of effort, spaced around rest. Anthropologist James Sussman has spent years studying the Jew Huanzi people of the Kalahari, one of the last groups with a living memory of this kind of foraging life. His research suggests that traditional foragers often worked far fewer hours than modern employees, sometimes only around 15 hours a week on activities directly related to food. The rest of the time was spent resting, socializing, or doing loosely structured tasks. Effort was real, but it was not constant. It came in waves. Your brain evolved inside that wave pattern. It expects variety. It expects movement. It expects rest woven between bursts of focus, not one long, unbroken stretch of sameness. Then, extremely recently, everything changed. The fixed workday is not an ancient human tradition. It is a product of the industrial era. Historians point to the rise of factories in the 18th and 19th centuries as the moment human labor became standardized into fixed blocks of time. Before factories, most people worked according to daylight, weather, season, and task. Farmers did not clock in. Craftsmen did not sit at a single station for 8 uninterrupted hours. But factories needed workers to arrive together, work together, and leave together, because machines ran on a schedule, not on human energy. Historian E.P. Thompson wrote about this shift in his influential work On Time and Industrial Discipline, describing how factory owners had to train an entire population to obey the clock instead of the sun. Bells rang. Clocks were installed in town squares. Lateness became a punishable offense. For the first time in human history, time itself became something you could be late for. This was not a small adjustment. It was a complete rewiring of how humans were expected to use their bodies and minds. And it happened in the blink of an evolutionary eye. 200 years is nothing compared to 300,000 years of foraging rhythm. Your genes did not get the memo. Your brain still runs on the older operating system, even while your calendar runs on the new one. This mismatch shows up most clearly in something scientists call the ultradian rhythm. Ultradian rhythms are short biological cycles that repeat throughout the day, usually lasting around 90 minutes. Unlike your sleep cycle, which repeats roughly once every 24 hours, ultradian rhythms repeat many times between waking and sleeping. Sleep researcher Nathaniel Kleitman first identified these cycles by studying sleep patterns, and later research extended his findings into waking life. During each 90-minute cycle, your brain moves through a period of higher alertness, followed by a natural dip in energy and focus. In other words, your brain was never built to concentrate for 8 hours straight. It was built to focus in waves, roughly 90 minutes long, followed by a genuine need for rest or a change in activity. When you push through that dip with caffeine, willpower, and guilt, you are not overriding weakness. You are overriding a signal that took hundreds of thousands of years to develop. This is why the 2 o'clock crash feels so specific. It usually is not about the previous night's sleep. It is often your ultradian rhythm sliding into its low phase, exactly on schedule, exactly as your ancestors would have expected, except your ancestors would have responded by resting, moving, or switching tasks. You respond by staring harder at a screen. There is a deeper mismatch hiding underneath this one. Foraging life demanded constant small decisions and constant movement. Track this animal, not that one. Walk here, not there. Notice this plant. Avoid that one. Talk to this person. Share this story. The ancient brain is a generalist. It is built to switch between physical movement, social interaction, and problem solving, often within the same hour. Modern office work asks the opposite. It asks you to sit still. It asks you to narrow your attention onto one screen, one task, one repetitive rhythm for hours at a time. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, known for his research on flow states, found that people report their highest sense of engagement and satisfaction during activities with variety, clear feedback, and a mix of challenge and skill, not during long stretches of monotonous, low-variation tasks. Office environments often accidentally remove the very ingredients that make effort feel meaningful. This is the mismatch beneath the mismatch. It is not just that the schedule is wrong. It is that the texture of the work itself has been flattened. Your ancestors' days were textured, layered, unpredictable, physical, and social. Your average workday is smooth, repetitive, sedentary, and isolated, even when you are surrounded by co-workers. Your fatigue at 2 in the afternoon is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that you are still, underneath your job title, a Pleistocene forager sitting inside a fluorescent-lit room, waiting for a kind of variety that the room was never designed to give you. Notice what this means. The guilt you feel during a slow afternoon is misplaced guilt. You are not failing a test of character. You are colliding with a structure your body was never built to inhabit without complaint. The complaint is not defiance. It is an old signal, doing exactly what it was designed to do. But here's where it gets strange. Modern life is new. Your brain is not. If you enjoyed this exploration, leave a like, share it with someone curious, and subscribe for more stories about the ancient brain living in the modern world. But here's where it gets strange. Here is the twist that makes this stranger than it first appears. Many modern productivity experts now recommend building short breaks, task switching, and movement into the workday, treating these as clever new hacks for boosting performance. But these are not new hacks. They are a rediscovery of something ancient. The 90-minute focus block followed by rest. The mixing of physical movement with mental tasks. The switching between different kinds of effort throughout the day. None of this is an innovation. It is a return. Modern science is not inventing a better way to work. It is slowly reapproximating the way your ancestors already worked, using different words, different charts, and different studies to arrive at a rhythm your body already remembers. There is something quietly moving in that. The exhaustion you feel is not a modern flaw. It is an ancient voice, still speaking clearly, even inside an environment built to ignore it. Your body has not forgotten the old rhythm. It has simply been asked to live somewhere that no longer listens to it. Consider how strange the modern commute would look to an ancient eye. Your ancestors moved constantly throughout the day, covering long distances on foot while foraging, tracking, and exploring. Movement was not exercise. It was simply life. The modern worker often drives to a building, sits for hours, drives home, and sits again in front of another screen. The body that once walked for miles now spends most of its waking hours nearly motionless. This matters more than it seems. Physical movement is deeply tied to cognitive function. Researchers studying exercise and the brain, including work associated with neuroscientist John Ratey, have found that movement increases blood flow to the brain and supports the release of chemicals linked to mood and focus. Your ancestors were not accidentally getting smarter by walking all day. Movement was quietly feeding the very organ making decisions about where to walk next. When modern life removes movement from the day, it does not just weaken muscles. It dampens the exact systems your brain relies on to feel alert and engaged. There is also the matter of light. Foraging humans spent nearly all daylight hours outdoors, exposed to a full spectrum of natural light that shifts in intensity and color throughout the day. This shifting light acted as a constant signal to the brain's internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, helping regulate alertness, mood, and eventually sleep. Modern office life often reverses this completely. Many people leave for work in darkness, sit under flat fluorescent light all day, and return home after sunset, barely touching real daylight at all. The brain's ancient light tracking system receives almost no useful information. It is like trying to navigate by starlight in a room with the curtains permanently drawn. None of this means the modern workday is evil, or that offices are a mistake. It means the workday was designed around machines, not around the nervous system that has to operate inside it. Factories needed predictability. Predictability required identical hours. Identical hours required ignoring the natural waves of human energy, movement, and attention. The system was efficient for machines. It was never particularly kind to the animal running it. Here is where the story becomes strangely hopeful. Once you know the mismatch is structural and not personal, something shifts. The 2 o'clock crash is no longer proof that you are failing at your job. It is proof that your biology is still intact, still responding the way it has for hundreds of thousands of years, even inside a building that was never built with your biology in mind. The problem was never inside you. It was in the architecture around you. Small changes begin to make more sense once you see them this way. A short walk between tasks is not a distraction from work. It is closer to what your ancestors' days actually looked like. A change in task after 90 focused minutes is not weakness. It is an ultradian rhythm asking politely for what it has always asked for. Even a few minutes near a window in real daylight is your circadian system quietly trying to recalibrate itself against a world of artificial light. You were not built for 8 straight hours at a desk. You were built for waves, for movement, for change, for rest woven quietly between bursts of effort. The clock on the wall is new. The bell that once called factory workers to their stations is new. The idea of unbroken, identical hours, 5 days in a row, is new. You are not new. It is 2 in the afternoon again, somewhere in someone's life, right now. The coffee has gone cold. The eyes are open, but the mind has drifted, quietly, patiently, back toward an older rhythm it has never fully forgotten. The strangest part is that this pattern appears everywhere in modern life. And once you see it, it becomes difficult to ignore. If you enjoy this kind of exploration, consider subscribing. Leave a like if this video helped you see yourself differently. And if someone in your life would find this fascinating, share it with them. Together, we can uncover the ancient brain hidden beneath the modern world.